Chapter 11. What I Heard in the Apple Barrel.
No, not I,
said Silver.
Flint was captain. I was quartermaster, along of my timber leg. The same broadside I lost my leg, old Pew lost his headlights. It was the master surgeon him that amputated me out of college and all, Latin by the bucket and whatnot. But he was hanged like a dog, and sun-dried like the rest at Corso Castle. That was Robert's men, that was, and come to changing names of the ships, Royal Fortune and so on. Now what a ship is christened, so let her stay, I says. So it was with the Cassandra's brought us all home safe from Malabar, after England took the Viceroy of the Indies. So it was with the old Walrus, Flint's old ship, as I've seen amuck with red blood and fit to sink with gold.
Ah! Cried another voice, that of the youngest hand on board, and evidently full of admiration.
He was the flower of the flock, was Flint.
Davis was a man too, by all accounts,
said Silver.
I never sailed along with him. First with England, then with Flint. That's my story. And now here on my account, in a manner of speaking, I lay by 900 safe from England, and 2,000 after Flint. That ain't bad for a man before the mast. All safe in the bank. 'Tain't earning, now it's saving it does it. You may lay to that. Where's all England's men now? I dunno. Where's Flint's? Why, most of them aboard here. And glad to get the duff. Been begging before that, some of 'em. Old Pew has lost his sight and might have thought shame spends £1,200 in a year like a lord in Parliament. Where's he now? Well, he's dead now and under hatches. But for 2 years before that, shiver my timbers, the man was starving. He begged and he stole and he cut throats, and he starved at that, by the powers.
Well, it wasn't much use after all,
said the young seaman.
Tain't much use for fools, you may lay to that, nor nothing,
cried Silver.
But now you look here, you're young you are, but you're as smart as paint. I see that when I set my eyes on you, and I'll talk to you like a man.
You might imagine how I felt when I heard this abominable old rogue using the very same words of flattery that he had used on myself. I think, if I had been able, I would have killed him through the barrel. Meanwhile, he ran on, little supposing he was overheard.
Here it is about gentlemen of fortune. They lives rough, and they risk swinging, and they eat and drink like fighting cocks. But when a cruise is done, why, it's hundreds of pounds instead of hundreds of farthings in their pockets. Now the most go for rum and a good fling, and to sea again in their shirts, but that's not the course I lay. I puts it away, some here, some there, and not too much anywheres, by reason of suspicion. I'm 50, mark you. Once back from this cruise, I'll set up like a gentleman in earnest. Time enough too, says you. But I've lived easy in the meantime, never denied myself nothing my heart desires, and slept soft and dainty all my days. But when at sea, and how did I begin? Before the mast, like you.
Well,
said the other.
But, all your other money's gone, ain't it? You dare not show your face in Bristol after this.
Why, where might you suppose it was?
Asked the cook derisively.
At Bristol, in banks and places,
answered his companion.
It were,
said the cook.
And we weighed anchor, but my old missus has it now. And the spyglass is sold, lease and goodwill and rigging. And the old girl's off to meet me. I would tell you where, for I trust you, but it would make jealousy amongst the mates.
And can you trust your missus?
Asked the other.
Gentlemen of fortune,
returned the cook,
usually trust little amongst themselves, and right they are. You may lay to it. But I have a way with me, I have. When a mate brings a slip on his cable, one as knows me, it won't be in the same world as old John. There was some that was feared of Pew, and there was some that was feared of Flint. But Flint his own self was feared of me. Feared he was and proud. They was the roughest crew afloat, was Flint's. The devil himself would have been feared to go to sea with them. Well, now I tell you, I'm not a boasting man. And you seen yourself how easy I keep company. But when I was a quartermaster, lambs wasn't the word for old Flint's buccaneers. You may be sure of yourself in old John's ship.
Well, I tell you now,
replied the lad.
I didn't half a quarter like the job till I had this talk with you, John. But there's my hand on it now.
And a brave lad you are, and smart too,
said Silver, shaking his hand so heartily that all the barrels shook.
And a finer figurehead for a gentleman of fortune I never clapped my eyes on.
By this time I had begun to understand the meaning of their terms. By a gentleman of fortune they plainly meant neither more nor less than a common pirate. And the little scene that I had overheard was the last act in the corruption of one of the honest hands, perhaps of the last one left on board. But on this point I was soon to be relieved, for Silver, giving a little whistle, a third man strolled up and sat down by the party.
Davy Square,
said Silver.
Oh, I knew Davy was with us,
returned the voice of the coxswain Israel Hands.
He's no fool, is Davy.
And he turned his quid and spat.
But look here,
he went on.
Here's what I want to know, Barbecue. How long are we gonna stand off and on like a blessed bumboat? I've had most enough of Captain Smollett. He's hazed me long enough, by thunder. I want to get into that cabin, I do. I want the pickles and wines and that.
Israel, said Silver,
your head ain't much account, nor ever was. But you're able to hear, I reckon. Leastways, your ears is big enough. Now here's what I say. You'll burn forward, and you'll live hard, and you'll speak soft, and you'll keep sober, till I give the word. And you may lay to that, my son. Well, I don't say no, do I?
growled Coxswain.
What I say is when. That's what I say. When? By the powers,
cried Silver.
Well now, if you want to know, I'll tell you when. The last moment I can manage, and that's when. Here's a first-rate seaman, Captain Smollett, sails the blessed ship for us. Here's the squire, and a doctor with a map and such. I don't know where 'tis, do I? No more do you, says you. Well then, I mean the squire and doctor shall find the stuff, and help us to get it aboard, by the powers. Then we'll see. If I was sure of you all, sons of Tubble Dutchmen, I'd have Captain Smollett navigate us halfway back again, before I struck.
Why, we're all seamen aboard here, I should think,
said the lad Davy.
We're all fossil hands, you mean?
Snapped Silver.
We can steer a course, but who's to set one? That's what all you gentlemen split on first and last. If I had my way, I'd have Captain Smollett work us back into the trades at least. Then we'd have no blessed miscalculations and a spoonful of water a day. But I know the sort you are. I'll finish with them at the island as soon as the blunt's on board, and a pity it is, too. But you're never happy till you're drunk. Split my sides. I've a sick heart to sail with the likes of you.
Easy, along, John,
cried Israel.
Who's a crossin' of you?
How many tall ships do you think I've seen now laid aboard? And how many brisk lads drying in the sun at Execution Dock?
Cried Silver.
And all for the same. Hurry and hurry and hurry, you hear me? I seen a thing or two at sea, I have. If you would only lay your course a point to windward, you would ride in carriages, you would. But not you. I know you. You'll have your mouth of rum tomorrow and go hang.
Everybody knows you as a kind of chaplain, John. But there are others who could hand and steer as well as you,
said Israel.
They liked a bit of fun, they did. They wasn't so high and try no how, but took their fling, like Charlie companions, every one.
So,
says Silver.
Well, where are they now? Pew was that sort, and he died a beggar man. Flint was, and he died of rum at Savannah. Ha ha ha. They was a sweet crew, they was. Only, where are they?
But,
asked Davy.
When we lay them athwart, what do we do with them anyhow?
There's the man for me,
cried the cook admiringly.
That's what I call business. Well, what would you think? Put 'em ashore like maroons? That would have been England's way. Or cut 'em down like that much pork? That would have been Flint's or Billy Bones.
Billy was the one for that,
said Israel.
Dead men don't bite, says he. Well, he's dead now himself. He knows the long and the short of it now. And if ever a rough hand come to port, it was Billy.
Right you are,
said Silver.
rough and ready. But mark you here, I'm an easy man. I'm quite the gentleman, says you. But this time it's serious. Duty is duty, mates. I give my vote. Death. When I'm in Parliament and riding in my coach, I don't want to see these sea lawyers in a cabin a-coming home. Unlooked for, like the devil at prayers. Wait is what I say, but when the time comes, why, let her rip.
John,
cries the coxswain.
you're the man.
You'll say so, Israel, when you see,
said Silver.
Only one thing I claim. I claim Trelawney. I'll wring his calf's head off his body with these hands. Davy,
he added, breaking off.
you just jump up like a sweet lad and get me an apple to wet my pipe like.
You may fancy the terror I was in. I should have leaped out and run for it, had I found the strength, but my limbs and my heart alike misgave me. I heard Davy begin to rise, and then someone seemingly stopped him, and the voice of Hans exclaimed,
Oh, stow that. Don't you get sucking of that bilge, John. Let's have a go of the rum.
Davy,
said Silver.
I trust you. I've got a gauge on the keg, mind. There's the key. You fill the pannikin and bring it up.
Terrified as I was, I could not help thinking to myself that this must have been how Mr. Arrow got the strong waters that destroyed him. Davy was gone but a little while, and during his absence Israel spoke straight on in the cook's ear. It was but a word or two that I could catch, and yet I gathered some important news, for besides other scraps that tended to the same purpose, this whole clause was audible.
Not another man of them will join.
Hence, there were still faithful men on board. When David returned, one after another the trio took the pannikin and drank. One,
Tulloch.
another with a,
Here's to old Flint.
and Silver himself sang in a kind of song.
Here's to ourselves, now hold your luff. Plenty o' prizes and plenty of duff.
Just then, a sort of brightness fell upon me in the barrel, and looking up, I found the moon had risen, and was silvering the mizzen-top and shining white on the luff of the foresail. And almost at the same time, the voice of the lookout shouted,
Land ho!
End of chapter 11.